and welcome to the virtual hardware meetup where we are going to talk about accessories and extra bits and pieces you can stick on your VR headset or around your body whilst you're playing VR. First off, let's just wave ourselves at the Educators in VR information. There's a poster up here with the various different ways to contact Educators in VR, Discord, Facebook, YouTube. If you're wanting to be a volunteer, there's a volunteer form there. I'm not too sure what the one down at the bottom is. educatorsinvr.com/VR Institute. Do you know what that is, Mitch?
Well, I do. I'm not part of the institute, but you can basically sign up to be part of the, academy, if you like.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't actually know that much about it, to be honest, but it's, Educators in VR, as you can see from this exhaustive list, is, a big community. But generally speaking, we do come together in smaller groups like we are today, of general, these interested areas. So EdVR Institute is something which it sits across that as an umbrella, just kind of gluing it all together, I think.
Okay, yeah, as Mitch alluded to, these are list of groups. Here we are, virtual hardware. I attend a lot of the cultural heritage stuff. There's a cyberbullying month running at the moment, which we got some stuff for almost 2 or 3 times a week during October. And there's other good stuff there, many of which I think I should try and get to. The medical healthcare one, theatre, aviation, all of those sounds really quite fun. So you'll come along, try and find one of the groups which is of interest to you and attend some of their events.
Yeah.
Okay, Mitch,
I'll put
if
these,
you could
I'll put these away.
pop those away.
I'll just put
and
these,
I will talk
pop these
about
over here.
our first topic. So, this is a sort of a general accessories and fun stuff you can do, which aren't just headsets. We did headsets in a previous session, and so we thought we'd do other bits and pieces. So I have this model put together, which I thought had a sort of theme of movement. Movement, such as this guy here. What you want to do in VR is, there's enough sitting around and standing around. What about if you wanted to move? You want to shift your legs, you want to do running, you want to wear your posing pouch and run away. It's I did look in EdVR how to set up your avatar, and you can't set yourself up like this chap here. Otherwise I'd have done so, obviously. So, movement. The trouble is, nobody's room is big enough for doing the running around. I did do some VR at the weekend in a sort of gymnasium hall, and that at least allowed you to walk around, a big virtual experience there. But your own room is very unlikely to allow you to do running or walking or the like. So people have come up with a couple of ingenious solutions. And the first one of which, and this is a relatively popular one, is called fiber shoes. Now, when I say relatively popular, anything that makes a few sales in movement is popular these days. It's not a big market. You've got to have a VR headset anyway, and then you've got to convince the people to buy something extra. This is another $250 or so. And what you get for your $250 is a nice box. I don't think you get the chair. I do think you get the mat, the circular mat there. And you get these little fiber shoes here, which have rollers on the bottom. And ingenious things like charging ports. Yes, obviously you want to charge up your shoes. But basically, it's the rollers which are important, and the fact that it can detect where your feet are. And what you're meant to do is sort of sit in a chair and sort of wave your feet around in a sort of dashing forward motion, and that's meant to give the impression that you are walking. I've got very little idea how accurate that is or how it works in practice, but it detects the fact that you're moving your feet, pushing forwards and backwards, and it says, oh, you are now walking. And you at least are shifting your legs while still staying in a still position.
That's called
Anybody who wants to
scooching,
take a
Mark.
chair? Yeah, scooching, is it? Oh, right, modern stuff. Please feel free to take my chair and have a go. And there is also this one, and this is a sort of advancement of that idea. It's not just scooching, it's a bit closer to wearing roller skates on your feet. And it's also at the, where can I buy this? No, you can't. It's at the prototype stage. There have been various companies which have done prototypes of something like roller skates to have. And these seem to have sort of 4 little tracks on the bottom of your feet, bottom of each foot, and you step forward naturally as if you were walking, but it then rolls you back so you stay in the same central position in the room, which sounds, well, stunningly dangerous to me. I feel sure I would fall over in this. But that's the idea. Small area required. Can work with anything, it thinks. Who knows? But they seem to be quite advanced. I think there's 1 or 2 videos of somebody using it tentatively, but not quite so advanced to sell it to anybody yet. So that's not going very far. However, there
Do you reckon
are
it's
a
like
couple of
moonwalking,
devices.
this one?
Yes.
Do you reckon
You
it's
step
a bit like
forward and
moonwalking?
you step forward, but the roller pulls you back.
Ah, okay.
So
And then
all
it
these
sort of
little
gently
rollers on the bottom pull you back.
turns you in an arc or something, does it?
I'm not too sure about that. I think it's just forward and back, but it does say it's got lots of freedom of movement. But I'm not convinced until I see a video with people doing something really twisty. Now,
Also,
what
you want to run. You want to run.
Yeah. Think about running. Now, there are couple of ones here where you can definitely do running. Now, these are marketed as treadmills. They're not really treadmills. A better term is slide mill for it. So you're attached to an arm, and you're in a sort of central dish, and you can actually move forward quite quickly. I'll try and put up a video a bit later. Oh, this one probably gives all the possible movements a little bit more. You can walk and you can run and sprint, it says. So you can pretend to move really fast. Your legs can be going. You can be doing the whole running action. And the thing attached to your waist is hanging on to you and stopping you from disappearing into the distance, in effect, and your feet slide away. So this one, Catwalk C, is so advanced, it's actually on its second or third module. So there's the Catwalk C, there's Catwalk C2, and it's now the C2 Plus. And I think we've got 1 or 2 variants on that even. And what you get is the sort of slide mill effect, and a special pair of shoes that you have to wear, which are having different levels of slipperiness on the base of them. By the way, this one is in the UK, and because they've on their second or third iteration, this is the old one, the Catwalk C, and it's down at a really discounted price, a mere £750. This is dangerous talk if the prices of that are going down. But generally speaking, I appreciate this one, the Catwalk C2 Plus. This one, the Omni one, isn't available yet, and is at the whopping price of $2,600 or so. But it looks better engineered. It looks really sturdy, and I think to the extent they're going to give you a headset as well. I think they're going to give you, what's that? It's a Pico 3, I think. and a couple of cleaning essentials, foot trackers to attach to your feet from overshoes over your shoes, and the big machine itself. Now, if
And
you
Mark,
take a
the question
look,
really is,
hmm, yep,
the question that occurs to me is, this one actually does look a bit more pro than the Catwalk C2, even though I know that's more popular. But
I think it's just more
this
solid,
has got
really.
some. Well, this one looks like it has potential for training purposes. So someone could build a custom training app, and then, it really requires people to move around to literally run and
Yeah.
react quickly.
Okay,
So it
I'm fairly
could
sure the
potentially have
Catwalk C
serious.
could do that as well. The only advantage I see with the this Omni one is that the level of engineering looks higher spec to me. Looks very, very solid indeed. Now, if you
Yeah,
look
that's what I was
at
thinking too.
the pleasant young lady there, is that your front room? It's quite like my front room. There's a fireplace there, shelves and stuff, and I'm grateful to OmniWalk, is it OmniWalk, Omni One, for suggesting this, because should I ever want, heaven forbid, a divorce, it all sounds a lot of fuss and you have to fill out lots of paperwork. But all I need to do is to buy one of these and install it in my front room, and my wife will divorce me instantly. She'll just write up the paperwork straight away. You're Allah here, man. So I really don't know how many of these they're going to
Mark,
sell. Yeah.
you've missed the obvious point there, that you need to buy two. If you want to stay married, you need to buy two.
Oh, right. Right. Well, I was going to be on one of them running like the devil, but not going forward. And she was going to be right behind me. Okay. Now, let's see if I can just try playing a short video showing one of these actually working. Mitch, can we move this? I can just move this. Try and bring up a screen, which it's not going to do. Oh, hold on. Let's have another go. Just going to push that a little bit further back. Maybe I'll just drop it out of the way. And just bear with me after I try and find the video. It's loading it up now.
Here we go.
And there you are. You're walking it like that, or run. Let's see if I can get that to play again. Can I make the video repeat? Yep, hold on. Let me put it on repeat. There you are. So walking, running, and walking again. So it does seem possible, but that just looks a little bit wobbly, janky. I think the other one was a bit higher specification. Okay,
The thing that
any
occurs to me,
questions, folks?
Mark,
Yep.
the thing that occurs to me is you quite often see motion sickness referenced on their websites, but sometimes it looks like it would be sickness inducing. Like, it doesn't look like that's going to be for everyone. I mean, I've never tried it, so I'm not speaking from experience, but the image that you see behind the sprinter there, you just wonder how closely that's linked to that idea of vertigo, motion sickness.
One long video I saw using one of these was had a VR version of Skyrim. And he said it was very good on that because Skyrim is a very large space. So he could walk all over what is a virtual space of a kilometer or a couple of kilometers or so. And that was a lot more realistic as long as it moved with that. So on the smaller video experiences like here, it's not really worth it. But on one of those large, VR chat worlds of it might well be useful. Okay, Mitch, do you want to take us round to another model?
Yeah, come on. Follow on up here, everyone. We're going to go up to the top area. You'll find me. Okay, so I'm just going to get out of that one. Now, what we're talking about here is our haptic guy. What we're talking about here is on the body haptics. So vests and gloves, and just having a look at the kind of broad range of things that are out there. As you know, some of them are commercial or like consumer grade items. Others are definitely not. You know, they're definitely priced out of most people's price range. But hey, people are going to put down $2,500 for a
treadmill.
No, an Apple an Apple
Oh
headset.
yeah.
So here's my little graphic of what we're going to have a quick look at, and now I'll just bring up some links and videos really quick. Let's have a look at this Nova Sense glove first. This is the blue thing. Is the addition. So now you got force feedback on the palm as well, so it can feel like it's squeezing your palm. Not sure exactly how useful that's going to be, but it's certainly it's an interesting product because it's well put together. It's obviously a finished unit. There's nothing experimental about it. It's on the market, and you would assume that people are buying it, but very hard to know any of these things, of course. Let's have a look at the next one, which is Haptics. Really different part of the market. If you think about this, one's used to start at undisclosed price, but it was widely thought to be about 20,000 US. So you can see the picture up there is of the original Haptics, which requires, and that's not in the image here. It requires a backpack computer, and this one's using a different technology. It's not using force feedback with cables. It's using something called force feedback plus microfluidics. And what that means is that there's tiny little tubes running through to the fingertips, and using a series of tiny valves and pumps, they can pump fluid into those little microtubules, and they can produce sensations on the fingertips and all down the finger, as well as that force feedback of the grip, so you can reduce someone's actual grip. Now, what you can't do is you can't emulate weight and you can't emulate rigidity, but this one gets closer to.
You get the touch sensation on the palm of the hands and the fingers, but if it pull your fingers back, if you're not meant to be going into something.
The Haptics doesn't, but the G1 apparently does, and again, that's an experimental project. Now I want to show you the video that maybe some of you have already seen, but yeah, here it is, Jeff Bezos. So
solve that Rubik's Cube?
Yeah,
no, thank you.
None of us
I
can
can't even
figure
do
it
that
out.
with my hands.
We're gonna do it.
There you go.
There you go. Nice.
That is really impressive. The tactile feedback is tremendous.
So if you're going to impress someone like Jeff Bezos, I think that's a good it's a good marker that the technology is real. It works. And
Intriguing, but the idea is relatively old there. There's a Waldove, which is from a Robert Heinlein science fiction story back in the 1950s by a chap called Waldo, who invented them.
So I'm going to skip past the Manus ones. The Manus ones here are 4,999 euros. They're actually just a kind of variation on the Nova Sense Club, but their main feature, if you like, is fingertip sensitivity, but it's more for fingertip tracking. And so that's where you might want to be doing very finely tuned simulations. So you might want to be showing people exactly where to put their fingers. And it's not just piano playing or violin playing. That's always the demo video that they put together, piano playing. But there's lots of other things that humans have to train their fingers to do. Surgery would be a good example, where showing a really finely tuned tracking of someone's fingers might be really, really useful. Anyway, let's go on to the Wooja vest. I'm going to show you this one, the Wooja. I love the name of it.
Can I make sure tickets to Australian or something?
I am.
YouTube, what up? Welcome back to another. You really get when you play these games, but now you have bass. You can feel it.
So now you can see how it works. I think he does another different one here. This is kind of interesting one because it's using force feedback, but it's also linked to the audio as well. So you can plug it into just music tracks and you can feel it does this interesting interpretation of the sound wave and moves the beat and the bass of the music all across your torso. So it's got two big thumpers on the front there. You can see it there. And then it's also got actuators, or they're not sensors. They're basically vibrators. The things that are vibrating on the back as well. But
I've always worried about haptic vests as an idea, because it's trying to show you what happens if you get thumped or a bullet hits you.
Yeah,
you get to feel real pain. Oh, great. That's really what I wanted to go into a reality for.
I can totally get what you're saying there, Mark. It seems a bit it seems a bit awful, doesn't it?
I will say I've used a vest at one point for it was a tightrope walking experience between two buildings, and the wind would blow by and you could feel it shake you, and it was very very intense. But yeah, I think I'll skip the one that actually shoots you when you get shot.
Yeah, wasn't there one in the film Ready Player One? And it simulated a guy being kicked in the balls, and you're thinking, well, why would you even put that on?
Human nature. Let me just turn this down a bit. Right, so now we're talking about Haptics. And this is a pretty interesting company because their offering is, they've got the most items that you can string together into one setup for a kind of reasonable price. Talk like we did before, Mark, about, I'll kill the audio here. Talking before about, dropping 1,200 euros or US dollars on a treadmill, slide mill. This, if you bought the whole kit, this would kind of add up to about the same. The vest which is used quite a lot, I think, in probably location-based entertainment. The vest is, I think, only about $500, so pricey unit, but not in the big scheme of things, not outrageously priced, enough that they're going to be a consumer grade item, and especially not when you put it next to the Tesla suit. I'll bring up the video for the Tesla suit now.
Dylan, do you know which variety of haptic vest you tried?
Oh, no idea. It was at one of the IMAX VR setups in Los Angeles a number of years ago.
So Tesla suit is what I think is a bit of nonsense, to be honest with you. It probably does all these things, but the idea that you're teaching people muscle memory through this kind of clenching of the fists and electrifying people, this is obviously over marketing video. This is on steroids, but nonetheless, it does add heat and it controls not controls movement, but records movement and does give you force feedback. But the idea of spending $13,000 so that you can teach someone how to box seems a bit ludicrous. Sometimes I think we've got bigger problems to solve than what these guys are imagining. But we're pushing the ball forward where this is all technology. This is all, we don't actually know what all the people around the world will use this for in their interesting ways. This is kind of an interesting one. They're being taught how to gas up hydrogen cells properly. So you can see a good example of where dangerous, impossible, risky, expensive, the DIRE acronym. This might be somewhere where the Tesla suit comes into its own. She was pretty happy with it. But I love this idea that the forklift guy turns up to the warehouse and goes, "It's okay, guys, I got my Tesla suit. I'm going to kick down the door and everything's going to be okay." Very impressive.
Do any of these simulate heat and cold? Looking at the fireman just now.
Yeah, it does something like that, but I think it's just sort of, I couldn't really find any good info on it because it's not like the kind of thing you can see lots of different reviews for. It's, and I actually don't know how it's linked to the company Tesla. I'm not sure if it's, essentially an Elon Musk product as well. Could be. How do we put the little screen away? There we go.
Lord Millentoff to sell people on a $13,000 tracksuit.
Yeah, a tracksuit, exactly. Electric tracksuit. Why not? Come on, it's good. All right, let's carry on so we can keep our session rolling on. Now, we'll leave the little fairy lights for a second, but I do want to show you this one. I'll unlock it. Now, this is going to be a short one, but this area of items is really the one that probably the most people buy. So there's going to be the most vibrant ecosystem out there of technologies and also options to buy, and there's probably quite a difference in price as well. I think the MoCopy one is actually coming in a bit cheaper, but we've got we've got 5 examples here, and I'll show you one by one. So just position yourselves to have a good look. So MoCopy is a Sony product, and it's going to potentially going to work with Sony PSVR 2, but you can see from the bottom picture there that someone else is using it in quite an interesting way. They're using a video capture software called Rococo and smart gloves and face capture to get this really full-on, full-body capture. But you can see it's actually the same character. They use the same character in all 3 of these marketing images. So essentially it's for VTubing, and it's for people who want to embody an avatar, embody a cartoon character. This has a great practical application because we're never going to run out of the requirement to produce cartoons and produce entertainments and produce animation. And so democratizing, if you like, bringing that motion capture, that body capture, that ability to do that down to taking it out of the level of the studios and bringing it back down to the level of the creators. That's a pretty interesting idea.
Yeah, but even at the consumer level, there's lots of people who like going to music events and VR chat and the like, and I'm presuming most motion trackers will be used for that.
Exactly, and dancing as well. And so, fair to say, you do need a pretty powerful PC and a dedicated space. Sometimes with lighthouse sensors, the sensors that are placed around your room to make all this happen. But I think from just the research I did on it just in the last little while, the companies are still alive, so they're still obviously selling some units. They're still in the game. If you see companies kind of born and die and have very quick lifespans, you get the sense that people are building things that no one really wants. Whereas all these companies still seem to be still hanging in there and producing items. Tundra is a good example where their product is really very, very similar to the Vive trackers, but they've been able to shave the price and bring the price down. And so the idea of putting on these 4 trackers, she will have them on her hands, and no, she'll have them on her elbows and ankles, I think. Or you can put them on your shoes as well, obviously. And people put them on different places on their body according to their preference, but I think most people would put them on their elbows. Might be showing my ignorance a bit there, because I don't actually use trackers myself. I've never used them. But here's Vive, and like Vive is interesting because Vive has the most amazing range of hardware, and then they also look at enterprise uses. Sorry, they have kind of very serious thought about what's the actual useful way in society that this can be used. And I don't mean to sound like entertainment isn't useful, because we all need to be entertained. It's just part of being a human. But when you consider that the training aspect of it is what they're used for, otherwise, firefighting, mining and construction, teaching people how to use really complicated plant and equipment, that's a really great outcome. And you can see how they get attached to clothing and all these various accessories as well. Which one haven't we done? Let's turn the box. Oh, now this one's really interesting, I think, because this is essentially a open source tracker. And you can see there that there's a few different designs. So people have 3D printed their own cases, or they've gone out and commercially printed them. They've got their own little boards. So you can buy a kit, a bit like a kind of the way you might purchase a Raspberry Pi kit, something like that. And then you can source your own straps and bits and pieces. But it's essentially an open source kit. So you do have to be prepared to mess around in the code and get yourself immersed in all the glorious complications that come along with that if you want to use this one. But I do like the idea that there's a viable open source one. Now I missed one. I'm going back to it, just trying to find it. Here we go. Shift All, that magic company Shift All, who make some really interesting other products as well. So Shift All have kind of a different take on it, really. Think about this idea of a band around your torso and then a band around your thigh and your calf. So instead of, they're still doing, inverse kinematics, but they're choosing a different point. And so the idea is that you're optimizing position on your legs by knowing exactly where your torso is, and then you don't need to know where your ankle is if you know your height and the position of your thigh and your calf. So that those 3 points of reference give you a much better idea of where your foot is, although you can't get the shape of your foot. That has to be inferred as well. But I like the idea that there's different companies having different takes on this, so that the technology is moving forward for sure. Anyway,
Mitch, is there a market leader yet? Well, we all just at the margins.
That's pretty hard to define, I think, because you know, if I look at it, I think that Vive probably has the best product, but that's part of that is me just thinking, well, HTC has got a long pedigree making electronics. Their products are very finely manufactured. You know, lots of people use them. The whole ecosystem kind of works together and it hangs together. So they've got Steam and, you know, they've got lots of software that's built to incorporate it. So you would think that they would be the leader, and I'm trying to do the old rabbit ears with my virtual hands here. You know, you'd think they'd be the leader in the space, but I'm not sure that in terms of sales that's true. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the market's still there to be grabbed.
It could be, yeah. But trackers, I think, are one of those things that it seems like if you're going to get into accessories, trackers and haptics are the ones that are easiest to reach for, easiest to get. You can put your credit card down, you know, the things will be shipped to you, and then you can have some degree of confidence that there might be a bit of jiggery pokery to make it work, but you can have some degree of confidence that it's going to work, and that there's a, you know, there's a support network there to help you figure it out in your space. That's pretty important if you work for a university or something. Yeah, Gladys? Or
will they only work with the like Vive? Will they work with a Quest? Do you know how much system intercompatibility there is?
Well, there's some, but it's not obvious actually. But the thing is, you can use different headsets with Steam, and you can use different headsets with Viveverse. So I think that you would be able to use Vive trackers in a somewhat open way. Yeah, there's no good answer, I know, Dylan, but you know, like we always say, we're just sort of enthusiasts. We're not sort of deep in these companies or anything. We're just enthusiastic researchers, like the rest of everyone, I guess. Hey, Mark, should we press on?
Yeah, just whether it works with Quest is the main one, because I know that's what a lot of folks have and what they're buying for research and things. But I've heard it has a spotty track record with talking with peripherals.
Yeah, and I think the MoCopy one, if they could get that to work with Quest in some way, and it's probably just a software issue, that would be a pretty interesting pair up, because, you know, one part of research is getting it into the hands of people who aren't necessarily deep in the weeds technical people, and then they can start to do interesting things with these technologies. And you know, when you're producing technology that's wireless and, you know, kind of more or less plug and play, you know, then you can really start to see some interesting things evolve too.
Okay, Mitch, you got anything else, or shall I go on to my last trick?
Yeah, go on to the next one. Yeah, go.
Okay, come around, guys. Yes, come on to the tiled area.
He's happy.
Be happy. Be happy in your VR. Okay, yeah, Dylan, if you could come forward. Right, so I just start off with VR cover. Now, these are the sort of things which you are much more likely to actually have in your house. I think I bought quite a few VR covers in my time. When certainly the early Quests came out, the Quest 1 and the Quest 2, it was fairly obvious that they hadn't put a great deal of thought into the sort of foam surround for your head. They'd done it to make sure that you didn't get light coming through, but they hadn't thought a lot about comfort. They hadn't thought about people who wanted to get their eyes really close to the lenses, and VR cover stepped into that gap quite quickly. I think we're a Thailand company, and we did simple things like a very thin fake leather cover, which was both easy for you to use if you wanted to use your headset and do any physical activity. So if you sweated whilst you were in your headset, at least you could take it off again and wipe it clean. And it also was a lot thinner than the standard Quest headset. So I've used different varieties, and I think I used one for a Pico 4, which means it's very thin on the Pico 4, so my eyeballs are really right up to the lenses. And they did it for several headsets, really. HP Reverb 2 there, and they've expanded a little bit into grip, some like, but most of their stuff tends to be eye covers and just trying to figure out, well, what's going to be the next big selling headset, and therefore I would do a cover for you. Anybody here use a VR cover? Raise your hands if you have the ability. Bit of a wave, or speak up. Yeah, Gladius there. Steph, I think. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So, Mitch there. So, that's happened quite often. Bobo VR, I thought it was Bonobo for a while, but it's just Bobo VR, moved in a different way and said, those head straps are really uncomfortable. And they went for a more pricey thing to make, but let's make a more comfortable headset and add the things that the Meta or Oculus at the time wasn't interested in doing, which was giving you decent audio with a earpieces over your ear, and maybe putting a battery at the back. These ones are batteries that you can slot in at the back. And they've made a nice little market for themselves there, got a good reputation for being more comfortable with a bit more functionality than your standard headset, such to the extent that, the various YouTubers who are looking at Quest 3 are saying, yeah, the Quest 3 strap is pretty useless. Wait until Bobo come out with a version which will match that and buy their headset. So they're in a nicely placed market position there. And let's just do Kiwi over here. Look at little Kiwi. I couldn't get their logo working, so I brought in a real Kiwi. And they're trying to do all of this, really. They're trying to do, what have they got? We've got straps, we've got some earphones there, grips, special grips that go over the back of your hand so you're not going to throw your controller to the other side of the room. We've got stands for your headset to go on, extra cables. If you're on the headset, which have to be wired, they will put a cable up to your ceiling. Lots of good stuff here. Anything else they've got that looks interesting? More cables. Protective shell, not quite sure why you'd want one of those. And if you face plant your headset into the wall occasionally. Yeah, so they're trying to do everything on a case down there, which is a difficult market to crack. But again, if they get the reputation for being able to do everything, maybe you would always go to them and look it up. And this little guy here is just an STL file off Thingiverse. So if what you need is just a bit of plastic in a particular shape, why are you going to these companies to sell you something more complicated when you can go to Thingiverse, which will sell you a model? Well, no, it won't actually sell you a model. It will just give you a model, say, go and print this in a 3D printer. So printed in a 3D printer, there's a stand for a PlayStation headset. One of those long bits of plastic which you put your controllers in, and it pretends to be a gun stock. This one is pretending to be a golf club. I think this was a headset that you used for your Switch. You put your Switch in there, and you could use it as a VR headset. There's a completely printed stand, and everybody should need this. I'm a flailing hazard sign. So you can just look up on Thingiverse, type in VR, and there's about a couple of dozen products which might be useful to you. And if you've got a 3D printer, you can go ahead with that yourself. or you just take it to your local 3D printer shop or order it online and say, print me one of these, please. Okay, and I think that is all we've really got. So we want to open up your mics and say, which bits do you want to talk about, and we can go back to any particular picture or model and take a look.
I've got 3 more little Easter eggs here, Mark.
Oh, right.
I've got 3 more little Easter eggs. Well, this is just for anyone in a headset who wants to play around with their grabbing and manipulating controls. Yeah, that's it. You got it. Gladius has figured it. So with your left hand, you can twist it as well. With your left hand, you can also twist it. That's it. You got it.
I have no idea what goggles he's wearing.
He's got the cool steampunk looking. Here, let me modify it for you. There you go. I'll put it up there. He's got the cool shift all Megan ones. You know, they look like steampunk version. But I just think this is the funniest product. It's basically meant to give you a private yelling. So if you like to be in your lounge room screaming and yelling at video games late at night, and your housemates or your wife or husband comes out and keeps going, shh, keep it down, you can put one of these on your mouth and scream and yell to your heart's content, and it'll be completely private.
I can't believe that's a product. I really can't.
It's so good.
It's one of the more far out ones.
Here's another one just to have a look at. This one is also a real product, believe it or not. It's the Holo Ride. So you put it in the back of a Uber, but now, as well as games, they've got an in-car cinema, right? So it's a 6-meter screen. And the interesting thing here, just let me point to this in the background. See the purple and kind of bluish background behind the screen there? That's actually like a landscape that maps to the movement of the car. So they've done this interesting thing where, to combat cyber sickness or travel sickness, they'll actually show you the movement of the car, and it'll map with what your body feels sitting in the car. But then the screen will cleverly overlay on top of that. And it's the same with games as well. And so see the little puck up in the top left corner there? That thing sticks to the front windscreen. You can see a bit like a mobile phone mount. And that's the sort of in-car Wi-Fi, if you like. And that joins to probably a computer in the boot or something like that. And then the whole thing works. And you don't have to use Vive Flow headsets. Apparently it works with Pico and Quest 2, and it's kind of it's a bit of an open system. I just think that's such an interesting idea. I do wonder if it'll catch on, because at some stage, potentially we won't be driving our own cars. We'll just be hopping in robots. Now here's another one that I definitely want to try. So this is a hamster ball for humans, made by a company from New Zealand. And I really should get a video for this one out, actually. I'll see if I've got a video for this one.
Okay, so that's what, a 2-meter across ball or so, and you fit inside it?
Exactly. And then you can spin. You can spin endlessly, Mark.
Okay, and in all directions?
Exactly. It's truly omnidirectional. Now, they've sold them to military installations for training, for kind of pre-training, if you like, for helicopters. but also just vehicles of all kinds, because you can put various types of controllers in there. It can be a joystick, or it can be a wheel, or it can be something even more customized than that, or more bespoke. I'll just quickly put up a screen here, and hang on, that's a green screen one. I'll just show you a video hanging in the sky here, because this is I would love to try this just to see if I could survive it.
Unique simulator platform technology developed by New Zealand company 8360. The distinctive spherical design allows Nova to perform unlimited rolls, flips and spins, including going completely upside down, and this range of motion allows the platform to recreate a wider range of physical sensations than are normally available. Combining this with the integrated virtual reality system delivers a truly immersive experience where you feel like you are actually there. Nova is designed to be practical and portable, enabling a wide range of use cases. It has near universal content support, allowing you to leverage existing off-the-shelf packages, and it also supports network play. Nova uses a standard Windows PC inside. This means it supports off-the-shelf USB controllers. It is small and portable, weighing in at under 1,000 pounds, meaning you can move it around on a pallet jack or slide it into a container for storage and transport. It allows you to deliver the learning without the cost of a real vehicle, both in fuel and wear and tear, and it's more environmentally friendly. You can avoid the danger of hazardous situations, but still learn the skills to better handle them when they're encountered in real life. Nova also reduces training time required because of the increased engagement and better learning outcomes in an immersive environment, and it makes training more accessible. The simulator is always available. It can run day and night in all weathers, no matter where you are. All these factors mean that Nova is the perfect solution for your training needs.
I almost hate to ask, but did they quote a price?
I don't think they've got a price on their website, no. But with all these things, I think why it's interesting is that if you think about normal training for pilots, you've got to have dedicated simulators on the ground. You've also got to have dedicated planes or helicopters or whatever at the airfield. So you've got to take something out of normal commercial use. And so I think that's what they're addressing with simulators like this. Is there's a niche, or there's a strata which is just below aviation sims, and just above, sitting at home with your VR headset on, playing
it's
aviation
Flight
sims.
Sim Plus, Microsoft Flight.
Yeah,
but with
idea,
something more likely to make you ill.
Exactly. And so if you're a pilot, you need to have your stomach conditioned to be turning and spinning, your blood going to the top of your head and to back down to your feet. And they obviously can't do anything like G-forces or anything. They can't do forward and back movement, but the realistic turning, etc.
stuff
adds another element to it. And I think it's that idea of, the very last part of that video was they showed someone landing a helicopter on a ship, which would be really common. Like, think about how often that happens just in the commercial world, not in the military world, but helicopters would be landing on ships every day, and we don't know how many it is, but it could be hundreds of times a day, thousands of times a day. Or oil platforms, or all those kind of things. So just the idea of pre-training people into before they get into the proper sims, and basically having more of it available. I think that's where that kind of technology is cool. But it looks pretty fun too. Like, you can imagine seeing it in an arcade. I would definitely want to try it. They'd have to have some sick bags next to it though. Unfortunately.
Too true. Okay, surprisingly enough, we are almost at our hour. Anybody like to throw in a few questions or comments?
Yeah, one more question. So I do some work with the blind and low vision communities, and one of the things I was talking with them about, they were very interested with regards to VR, is the idea of using some of those haptic controllers to be able to kind of feel virtual objects. And I was wondering if you knew, for some of the ones we were looking at a minute ago, basically, when you're holding a virtual object, is it just using the kind of Unity like physics colliders from that object? Wondering how that works and how it might be useful for folks that are kind of blind, low vision.
I don't. I would have to defer to someone a bit more technically oriented for how it's done in Unity. But I think you're right. I think that you basically give something rigidity by adding colliders, and then that is sorry, I dropped my controllers. That is interacting with the force feedback cables on the back of the gloves. So it's preventing you from closing your fingers around something that is imaginary. And then the thing that they can't do is weight and rigidity. So if something's stuck to the floor, like a pole coming out of the ground, or a grip handle or something, you can feel it. You can feel the volume of it, if you like. So you can't close your fist around it completely, but it'll just move around in thin air. There's no obvious way to make it feel like it's rigid. So those are the things that potentially wouldn't make it very useful for blind and vision impaired. But having said that, why not? If people who are blind and vision impaired are willing to enter into the experimental space, why not try all those things? There may just be a use case for it. I think that's really the space that we're working in now, is that we still are in a highly experimental phase of all of these technologies, even though there's commercial applications.
Yeah, a lot of them are just going to fall away, as in, no, the market wasn't there, or in fact, they get outmoded by another piece of technology will just destroy them. So I don't expect all of these to survive. Okay, in that case, I think we will wrap at this point, Mitch. That's okay to wrap with you?
Yeah, just to say thanks to everyone for coming along. It was really nice to see you.
Thank you very much. It was a good attendance. What have we got next? Oh, sometime in November, I'm doing a explaining mixed reality session. So keep an eye out for that.
In spatial?
It's going to be in space. Yeah, this one's not going to be in Engage. It's going to be in spatial.
Love it.
Mainly it was some work I did on mixed reality games, but I'll do mixed reality concepts a little bit and then show you the sort of games that people can do or have done with mixed reality techniques.